Good afternoon, I'm Mabel Jong. Thanks for watching our continuing coverage of the World Healthcare Congress here in Washington, D.C. I'm so pleased to be able to grab a little bit of Congressman Harris's time while we're in the studio. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And you'll be speaking on a panel later today. And I think most importantly, we'd like to get a feel for some of your takeaways on this issue of healthcare.
Well, my particular interest really is in making sure that biomedical research goes forward, that we invent the new cures and we get them delivered to patients around the world.
Okay.
And in America, we do a lot of the biomedical research in the world. We do probably over 45%, over $120 billion a year, with the NIH being a major chunk of that. And we have to just make sure that we continue to be the research engine for the world. And we've always been the leaders, but you're not going to keep that leadership unless you make the reforms necessary to make sure that our innovators are getting the grants and research support that they need.
Do you believe that the U.S. has the right support for this kind of research? We're seeing a lot of competition from the Asian countries, for instance, and it just seems like America is losing a lot of its brains to some of the other countries that seem to be really accelerating in this area.
Well, certainly America is not in the position it used to be. It's still the leader in the world by far. And yes, there's a competition now from Europe and Asia, but America's always been willing. And for instance, I'm on the faculty at Hopkins. We were always had people from around the world come and train. We've always been willing to train other people because the goal is really making the best health care available throughout the world. We'd like a lot of it to come from our biomedical research institutes and our biomedical research companies, but we're willing to train people around the world. That being said, obviously it's in our best interest to try to make sure that we keep that industry the world leader. And there are steps you have to take that we probably need to take over the next few years to maintain that leadership position.
How big a game changer do you think that these innovations will be when we're looking at healthcare and reforming the current system that we have today?
Well, they could be huge. I mean, we will make new cures and new inventions and new discoveries that we can't even imagine sitting here today. 20 years from now, we'll look back at how we delivered healthcare today and go, wow, that's pretty old-fashioned. So we've just got to be at the cutting edge of that, because a lot of those cures will lower the cost over the long term. We've already seen a lot of non-invasive methods, a lot of pharmacologic methods that treat diseases that in the past people either died from those diseases or had very expensive treatments. And so we're already starting to see some of those.
And do you think that the consumer will be able to access some of these innovations as soon as we hear about them, or as soon as we get them coordinated and out into the marketplace? Well,
we've got to make sure, for instance, that the regulatory agencies like the FDA make certain that these cures, when they're developed, do get to patients as soon as possible.
Well, how big a priority do you think the FDA needs to make this?
They need to make it a high priority. We know right now, for instance, there are medicines that we believe can cure certain types of cancer, certainly treat certain types of cancer, and yet it's taking years and years to get it to patients. That's not fair to patients or their families or to the healthcare system. So we do have to prioritize getting these cures, because the pace will pick up. I mean, this is what we've seen with any of the technology that's been developed over the last 20 to 30 years. The pace picks up, and I think the regulatory agencies have to keep pace with that.
Can we get your feeling for how we're doing in this space now? Now that we've seen the Accountable Care Act just celebrate its 5th birthday, do you feel like we're on track, or what still needs to be done?
Well, certainly, the biggest problem is that it's failed to bring down the cost, and I think partly because it actually doesn't address some of the other issues we've been talking about, which is, look, let's encourage technological improvements that will bring down costs, will bring cures faster to people, faster, better, smarter cures. It really didn't focus on that, so I think it's time now to actually focus on that in Washington, to say, let's look at the NIH, let's look at the entire biomedical research community, let's look at the FDA, let's get them all together. We're going to do that in Congress with a bill called 21st Century Cures that hopes to modernize a lot of that biomedical research industry and product development. We'll be hearing a lot more about that this spring and summer from Congress, and I think that's the right first step to take.
Okay, Congressman, thank you so much for your time.
My
we really
pleasure.
appreciate it. And I'm Mabel Jong. Thanks for watching.